Senior Sister, Shut Up. By Honeyjuice Consort. Summary. Release faster. Why aren't today's chapters out yet? Senior Sister, it's only 6 in the morning. Then what about yesterday? There was only one chapter. Romance slice of life stories rely heavily on the details. Inspiration is needed when writing. Then, where does your inspiration come from? You're clearly single. My imagination. In that case, why don't you date someone? You can get some material too. I need to write. I don't have time. How about I help you? Help me write? Of course not. I mean dating. Senior Sister, stop joking around. This is a slice of life university love story between a struggling web novel author and a beautiful illustrator, in which they mutually suffer social death. Single female lead, no melodrama, no angst. Collapse. Chapter 1, My Heart Already Belongs to Senior Sister. Previous chapter. Next chapter. August 30th, in the sweltering Hangzhou. Zhang Miao stepped out of his dormitory and looked at the time. It was 15 minutes to 2 in the afternoon. He shouldn't be late. The 2 days of the weekend were the orientation days for new students. Zhang Miao arrived early at the School of Business to register. He was still the only one in his dorm room, and his 3 future roommates for the next 4 years had yet to arrive. For Zhang Miao, who aspired to ultimate freedom in the comfort of his home, there had to be a reason why he stepped out into the scorching heat instead of staying in the cool dormitory to write. Because he was meeting someone. As for who he was meeting, it was definitely not a beautiful female classmate but a loyal novel fan of his. While walking, he took out his phone and looked at their chat history. Kanji boss, I'm going to the Department of Accounting in the afternoon to deliver some documents to a teacher. Let's meet there, okay? I'll show you around campus. Peach Jam, okay, what time? Kanji boss, around 2. Let me know when you arrive. Peach Jam, okay. The Department of Accounting. Zhang Miao walked out of the dormitory area and headed towards the school, planning to ask for directions when he arrived. As for Kanji boss, he was naturally Zhang Miao's loyal novel fan. The reason his previous novel went from a lackluster 160 subscriptions to an average of 1,500 subscriptions at the end, at least half of the credit should go to Kanji boss. In addition to adding him as a friend to encourage him, Kanji boss had also personally drawn all kinds of illustrations, as well as detailed character portraits, for him to insert into his novel for everyone to appreciate. In particular, the exquisite illustrations of the female lead, the adorable cat girl, and the fox-like sister-in-law directly captivated a group of men of culture. Therefore, Zhang Miao had always been very grateful to Kanji boss. Later, while chatting, Kanji boss learned that Zhang Miao had been accepted into university, and the two of them discovered that they would be attending the same school and faculty. In that case, they definitely had to meet up. Zhang Miao really wanted to thank this novel fan and school senior in person. With this thought in mind, Zhang Miao arrived at the south gate of the school and happened to see a female student in front. He quickly approached her and asked politely, "Hello, senior sister. May I know how to get to the Department of Accounting?" "Hey." The senior sister turned around and narrowed her eyes in puzzlement, as though she was trying to see Zhang Miao's face clearly. Then she replied gently, "I'm heading there too. You can follow me." "Thank you, senior sister." After thanking her, Zhang Miao followed her on her left and turned his head to size her up casually. The senior sister was dressed neatly in a clean white t-shirt and capri pants. Her figure was slender and graceful. In particular, her straight and slender legs were well proportioned and harmonious under the capri pants. The glimpse of her fair and alluring ankles between her white sneakers and pants left Zhang Miao feeling a bit regretful. If only she was wearing a skirt. It was such a hot day. When she turned her head back to reply just now, Zhang Miao had only glanced at her briefly, and the only impression was that she was beautiful. Now, walking alongside her, thanks to her high ponytail, Zhang Miao could clearly appreciate half of her exquisite face and the teardrop mole at the corner of her eye. Am I this lucky? I can meet such a beautiful senior sister just by walking around. Or are all the girls in the School of Business this attractive? It would be great if he could get this senior sister to show him around the school. Kanji boss should just go to the side. With this thought in mind, Zhang Miao stole another glance. He wasn't being lecherous. He was simply collecting material. After all, as an aspiring homebody writer, romance was out of the question. With that time and effort, wouldn't it be better to write a few more chapters? Romance was just too troublesome. Just as Zhang Miao was collecting material with his eyes, senior sister suddenly asked, "Are you a new student of the Department of Accounting?" Zhang Miao was taken aback for a moment before looking away guiltily. "Ah, yes. May I ask which class you're in?" Senior sister smiled gently at him. "You should already know your class assignment by now, right?" "Yes, I'm in accounting class 2. Class 2? That's quite a coincidence." Senior sister's smile became even more beautiful. "I'm your class assistant." Class assistant? During the start of university, we are seniors who will help you become familiar with the school and assist the counselors in handling some matters concerning new students, senior sister explained patiently. "Another senior and I are the class assistants of class 2 this time." "I see." Zhang Miao nodded and returned the smile. "Thank you in advance, senior sister." "No problem. I could have shown you around campus, but I have an appointment." "Sorry." Senior sister smiled apologetically. "It's fine. I'm actually going to the Department of Accounting to meet another senior who will show me around." "That's good." Senior sister nodded and pointed at a building not far away. "Here we are." When they arrived at the entrance of the Department of Accounting, senior sister walked towards the elevator and waved at Zhang Miao. "I'm going to find the teacher. See you at our class meeting tomorrow night." "Okay, goodbye, senior sister." After bidding farewell to senior sister, Zhang Miao stood not far from the elevator doors and sighed with emotion. Are all senior sisters in university so gentle? She was polite, pleasant to talk to, and so beautiful too. It was simply against the rules. If not for his strong will, he might have already asked her for her WeChat. Unfortunately, even if he really considered dating, he would definitely look for someone younger. At least someone his age, right? Wait, no. Writers don't have time for love. After reaffirming his faith, Zhang Miao took out his phone and opened QQ. "Peach Jam, boss, I'm here at the entrance of the Department of Accounting." "Kanji boss, hold on a moment, I just arrived at the office. I'll come down after handing in the documents." "Peach Jam, okay, I'll wait for you by the statue at the entrance." After sending the message, Zhang Miao went to the statue at the entrance and waited, imagining what Kanji boss looked like. He had heard that artists were usually sloppy. Maybe it was a decadent senior. Or a fat otaku. Could he be the other class assistant? Zhang Miao's thoughts jumped around, and he suddenly thought of this. After all, senior sister happened to be looking for a teacher, so she might be with Kanji boss. That would be awesome. Being a class assistant with such a good-looking and nice senior sister, just thinking about it makes me envious. If Kanji boss was really the other class assistant with senior sister, then Zhang Miao absolutely had to mooch a few more racy illustrations from him. Just as he was thinking this, he heard the sound of the elevator door opening behind him. He turned around and saw the beautiful senior sister walk out. This time, Zhang Miao was standing directly in front of her, completely stunned by her beauty again. She had a straight nose bridge, rosy lips, fair skin, bright and gentle peach blossom eyes, and a captivating teardrop mole at the corner of her eye. Her height of at least 1.7 meters made her look tall. She was only half a head shorter than Zhang Miao. Standing beside him, she even gave the illusion that she was taller. But why is she standing beside me? After admiring her, Zhang Miao suddenly realized this question. "Junior brother, are you waiting for someone?" Senior asked casually while smoothing her hair and looking around the sculpture in the lobby on the first floor. "Yes, my senior said he's in the office." Zhang Miao took out his phone and checked it. There was still no message from Kanji boss, so he guessed he was still with the teacher. "Oh, did you see a girl enter just now?" Senior sister asked while taking out her phone. "No, it's just me," Zhang Miao replied. Senior sister was waiting for a girl. He had assumed she was waiting for her boyfriend or someone similar. Senior sister paused briefly and scanned the lobby again. Then she looked at Zhang Miao, and her eyes gradually became strange. "Kanji boss, make sure you're in the right place. The Department of Accounting is in the first building beside the library." "Peach Jam, I'm definitely in the right place. I came with a senior sister who went the same way." When senior sister saw Peach Jam's reply, the strange expression on her face became even weirder. She glanced at Zhang Miao beside her, her mouth twitching as if she was trying not to laugh. Peach Jam, where are you? Aren't you coming down yet? Peach Jam, what's taking so long? Isn't it just handing in some documents? Hearing the message prompt, senior sister pondered for a moment before her eyes glowed with mischief as she tapped her phone screen to reply. Kanji boss, sorry, the teacher asked me to help with something. Why don't you go explore on your own for a bit? Peach Jam, boss, you're killing me here. How long will it take? Kanji boss, lots of stuff pops up right after school starts. It'll probably take another half an hour. Kanji boss, now, I'm afraid he'll dump more work on me. Peach Jam. Zhang Miao was speechless and subconsciously glanced at senior sister beside him. From the looks of it, it seemed like she hadn't met the person she was waiting for either. Peach Jam, forget it. I'll just wander around by myself first. Tell me when you're done. Kanji boss, okay, I'll buy you bubble tea to apologize later. After ending the chat, Zhang Miao put away his phone and prepared to leave. But politeness came first. Before leaving, he symbolically chatted with senior sister and bid her farewell. Senior sister, hasn't the person you're waiting for arrived yet? Yet, but there's no need to wait anymore. Senior sister put away her phone and smiled helplessly. My friend had something come up at the last minute, so I got stood up. What a coincidence. Zhang Miao chuckled. I got stood up too, so I guess I can only walk around the campus by myself. Is that so? Senior sister suddenly moved closer to Zhang Miao, her exquisite face very close. She blinked. Do you need a guide? Zhang Miao was so startled by the sudden closeness that he instinctively took a step back. But having someone show him around would definitely be more convenient. If it's not troublesome, that would be great. But why did she suddenly get so close? Zhang Miao was a bit caught off guard and only smelled a pleasant fragrance from senior sister. Sorry, I'm very nearsighted. I can't see well standing here. Senior sister stepped back and smiled. I'll remember now. Junior brother, you're quite good looking. Thank you. Zhang Miao avoided senior sister's gaze, and his heart inexplicably beat faster. Senior, you're also very good looking. Thank you for the compliment. Senior sister smiled happily. She took out her phone, opened WeChat and showed her QR code to Zhang Miao. Why don't we add each other on WeChat? Okay. Zhang Miao nodded. He scanned the QR code and added her. Then he received a message from her. Jojo loves kanji, I am Suhuai. Miao Miao is deep in thought, I am Zhang Miao. After exchanging messages, Zhang Miao heard senior sister say, Zhang Miao, your name has a poetic charm. Senior sister, your name sounds beautiful too. Let's stop complimenting each other. Let's go. Suhuai put away her phone, waved at him with a smile, and walked out the door. Okay. Zhang Miao followed senior sister out while sending a message to Kanji boss. Peach Jam, goodbye, Kanji boss. I have a senior sister now. I don't need you anymore. Kanji boss? Kanji boss, where did you get a senior sister? Peach Jam, you don't have to worry about that. Anyway, my heart already belongs to the beautiful senior sister. Boss, stay aside for now. Kanji boss, how beautiful. Peach Jam, super incredible universe level beautiful. Kanji boss, really? Has your heart started fluttering? Peach Jam, no way. I'm a firm believer in staying single. I just admire this senior sister. That's all. Kanji boss, do you think I'd believe your nonsense? Peach Jam, okay, I can actually get inspiration. I think I can learn many new terms from this senior sister. Kanji boss, you're just lusting after her body. Peach Jam, I'm not explaining anymore. I'm off to tour the campus with my senior sister. Just as Zhang Miao finished chatting and was about to put away his phone, he saw senior sister Su, who was walking in front, turn around and look at him with a faint smile. She tilted her head and asked, chatting with your girlfriend? I don't have a girlfriend. Zhang Miao spread his hands. I told you. Oh, Suhuai nodded with a smile and led him to Swan Lake in front of the school building. Then, I'll bring you around the campus. Our place is quite small, and it'll only take half an hour to walk around. Zhang Miao followed senior sister along the pathways of the School of Business. They walked past Swan Lake, passed through a small grove that was empty during the day, and arrived at the asphalt road on the east side. They saw the east field and identified the entrances of the various schools and departments. They passed by the library and saw the Friendship Forest in the north, though the students preferred to call this small hill Lover's Slope. The reason was self-evident. Afterwards, they visited the gymnasium and swimming pool, passed by 4 academic buildings, a multi-purpose building for large events, and 2 cafeterias. Finally, the 2 of them returned to the library in the center of the School of Business and sat down in the outdoor lounge area on the first floor to rest. Senior sister said she needed to use the restroom, so Zhang Miao took out his phone and immediately received a message from Kanji boss. Kanji boss, how are things going with your senior sister? Peach Jam, we just walked around the campus. Kanji boss, didn't you do anything fun? Peach Jam, it's only the first day we met. What are you thinking? Kanji boss, do you know her name? I might know her. Peach Jam, Su Huaizhou. Do you know her? Kanji boss, her, realization.jpg. Peach Jam, is there a story? Kanji boss, she is recognized as the most beautiful girl in the School of Business. Peach Jam? Peach Jam, do normal schools have a recognized most beautiful girl? Kanji boss, why not? Don't you think Su Huaizhou is beautiful? Peach Jam, yes. Kanji boss, how beautiful. Peach Jam, so beautiful she outshines the moon and makes flowers blush. Kanji boss, you're quite good with words. Kanji boss, what about her personality? What do you think? Peach Jam, considerate, gentle, generous. It's comfortable being around her. Kanji boss, anything else? Tell me more. Peach Jam, are you sick? I'm not praising you. Here, your bubble tea. While Zhang Miao was chatting, senior sister placed a cup of bubble tea on the table. Ah, thank you, senior sister. Zhang Miao took it and quickly thanked her. How much is it? Talking about money hurts relationships, you know. Su Huaizhou smiled, seeming in a good mood. She bit the straw of her cup of bubble tea and said, it's my treat, junior brother. Chapter 2, I scold myself. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Sipping on the refreshingly cold grass jelly bubble tea, Zhang Miao and senior sister chatted casually. They were just a senior sister and junior brother who had just met, so there was not much to talk about. Nevertheless, Zhang Miao still gained a preliminary understanding of senior sister Su Huaizhou. The class assistants of first years were usually second and third year seniors. Compared to the older counselors, these upperclassmen were clearly more approachable and easier to get along with for the younger students. But to put it bluntly, it was still a way for counselors to slack off. Su Huaizhou was in her second year and had excellent grades. She had consistently been one of the top students in her first year and earned scholarships effortlessly. She had brains, and as for Zhang Miao discreetly glanced at the undulating curves behind the cup of bubble tea on the table and took a sip to calm himself down. He didn't notice it before, but after she sat down, her white shirt naturally stretched a bit, accentuating certain areas. Senior sister really hides her charms well. So, what do you usually like to do? Su Huaizhou asked casually while scrolling on her phone. Zhang Miao also looked at his phone to ease the awkwardness between them. Although he was swiping his finger aimlessly on the screen, opening and closing random apps, it was better than just sitting there and doing nothing. It wouldn't be polite to keep staring at her. Well, I usually play games and read novels. Read novels? Su Huaizhou looked up at him and asked curiously, for example? For example, titles such as My Wife Came from 800 Years Ago and My Japanese Girlfriend Lives With Me drifted into Zhang Miao's mind, but he quickly halted this train of thought. He racked his brains and said, Norwegian Wood, Journey Under the Midnight Sun, and so on. Oh? Do you like that type of genre? Su Huaizhou nodded thoughtfully and then smiled. But those are mostly physical books, right? I prefer reading web novels. Zhang Miao was stunned for a moment before subconsciously blurting out, you read web novels too? Su Huaizhou caught the keyword immediately. She raised an eyebrow and asked, do you read them too? Zhang Miao felt awkward, but he still nodded. Yeah, I read them occasionally. Regarding web novels, he could read them alone and share them with good friends. But it wasn't easy to talk about them with others. Look at titles like I Become My Senior Sister's Replenishing Magic Tool. Do you think you could share the title of this novel with a senior sister? You would probably be regarded as a pervert. But sharing with a good buddy was fine. It would only change from one person's he to two people's he. He was an interjection. If people who weren't close to you knew that you liked to read web novels, what if they asked you what you read? Just thinking about those titles made you feel awkward. They were either too 8th grader syndrome or too embarrassing. It was really awkward. Only a few normal titles could be mentioned. Unfortunately, there weren't any normal ones on Zhang Miao's reading list. So, what have you been reading lately? Su Huizhou asked curiously. See, as expected. Zhang Miao wanted to cover his face. As his mind raced, he tried to recall the novels of those big shots recently. Master of Mysteries and World's Best Martial Immortal. Thank you, big shots. Only the titles of the novels of those stylish big shots could rescue Zhang Miao at this moment. It was a pity he didn't read much historical literature. Otherwise, he could have used a few more titles that sounded meaningful. Oh, fantasy, hey? I don't read much fantasy, Su Huizhou said while her slender fingers tapped on her phone screen. Then she picked up her phone, showed it to Zhang Miao, and enthusiastically recommended, "This is a recent find of mine. It's super good." Zhang Miao leaned forward curiously and looked at the screen of senior sister's phone. He saw the Zidian logo on the novel's cover and a large line of text. "My girlfriend is a content creator." Zhang Miao. As soon as Zhang Miao saw the title of this novel, his expression changed drastically. However, he immediately controlled himself and didn't reveal his loss of composure. Fuck. Although he managed to control his facial expression, he couldn't help cursing inwardly. It wasn't that there was anything wrong with the novel itself, but rather, there was something very problematic with the author of this novel. Peach Jam. This was the name under the novel's title, the author's pen name on the website. Zhang Miao's QQ name was Peach Jam. Of course, this wasn't a coincidence because he had written this novel, "My girlfriend is a content creator." If senior sister discovered anything suspicious and exposed the relationship between this novel and him in reality, Zhang Miao felt that he might as well drop out of school. So now, the most important thing was to stay calm, and stay calm. He absolutely couldn't reveal any clues. Anyway, besides Kanji Boss, no one in this school knew he was Peach Jam. Moreover, Kanji Boss hadn't seen him in person yet. In that case, he was still very safe. He just happened to bump into a beautiful senior sister, who just happened to be stood up and just happened to be his class assistant, and in the end, she just happened to be his novel fan. Damn, why are there so many coincidences? I can even write a novel about this. What's wrong? It seems like boys don't like to read this kind of novel. Su Huizhou smiled shyly and put away her phone. I prefer these simple and sweet plots. This is my favorite novel recently. Hiss. Her favorite. Being confessed to in person like this, even though it was only for his novel, Zhang Miao still felt a bit embarrassed. Still, his heart bloomed with joy. Unexpectedly, he actually had a female fan. And she was actually his senior sister. Ahem. Actually, I occasionally read romance novels too. They're not bad for a change of pace, Zhang Miao said against his conscience in order not to hurt his female readers' feelings. Hearing what Zhang Miao said, Su Huizhou immediately covered her face and smiled. Then, I highly recommend this novel. It's super good. It's just too short. Oh, it was intolerable for a man to be called short. Zhang Miao picked up his phone and pretended to add the novel to his reading list before saying, "It's only been less than half a month since the novel started. This length is normal." How is it normal? This damn slacker is taking advantage of the fact that it's the new novel release period to only release one chapter a day. It's too little. Su Huizhou's tone was full of complaints and annoyance when she talked about the release schedule. It sounded like a wife complaining that her husband wasn't doing it often enough. From the middle of August to the end of August, Peach Jam had posted a total of 35,000 words. According to the norm of 2,800 or so words a day, it indeed didn't meet the standard. But wasn't saying only release one chapter a day too much? There were clearly only 3 days with one chapter. Damn it! Zhang Miao wanted to defend himself, but he immediately reacted. Now, he wasn't speaking as the author. He had to be careful with his words, very careful. Yes, that kind of slacker is the worst. Zhang Miao firmly supported senior sister's point of view. Feeling it wasn't enough, he gritted his teeth and added, they should be locked in a small dark room and forced to write 24 hours a day without stopping. Exactly. She should be locked in a small dark room to write. Su Huizhou slapped the table with a bright smile on her face. Chapter 3, I Am a Girl. Previous chapter. Next chapter. For some reason, although Zhang Miao's heart was still tense, he gradually relaxed after chatting with senior sister about web novels. This novel starts off so sweet that I'm worried she'll collapse before she can write more than a few words. It feels like the progress is too fast. They're already in bed before 20 chapters. I don't know how she's going to write the rest. Listening to senior sister complaining across from him, Zhang Miao was happy and proud. His gaze landed on her and saw the bright sparkle in her eyes. He knew she genuinely liked this novel. Zhang Miao, no longer distracted by his phone, looked at senior sister once more and noticed the red string on her fair wrist and a white jade Buddha hanging from her neck. Such accessories were quite rare nowadays. Unexpectedly, they suited senior sister well. Although there are a few issues, on account that the author is a girl, I'll let her off for now. Su Huizhou looked generous as she privately acquitted Peach Jam of any wrongdoing. But upon hearing this, Zhang Miao couldn't help interjecting, Senior sister, how do you know Peach Jam is a girl? Oh? How can someone with a pen name like that be a boy? Su Huizhou looked puzzled. Names with consort and jam are usually nicknames for girls, right? Zhang Miao opened his mouth but found himself speechless. He felt that what senior sister said made sense. Still, he tried to argue, look at this person's avatar. Such a cute anime girl usually has a big man behind it. Is that so? Su Huizhou tilted her head and pondered. But girls can also use cute avatars. It's rare to see female authors in male-oriented genres, so the probability of it being a male author is higher, Zhang Miao argued for his gender. But this novel might be an exception, Su Huizhou insisted on her opinion. If you've read this novel, you'll know. How can a male author write such a sweet novel? Senior sister, that's discrimination. Who said that boys can't write sweet novels? Zhang Miao refuted loudly in his mind, but he couldn't bring himself to say it out loud. He couldn't exactly admit that he wrote the novel, could he? Even though it would prove her wrong, it would also put his entire university reputation at stake. Absolutely not. Seeing that Zhang Miao had nothing to say, Su Huizhou didn't let him off the hook and continued to present her evidence. She casually opened a chapter, scrolled to the author's note at the end, and handed her phone to Zhang Miao. Author's note, today's 2 chapters are done today, I'm also an invincible 2-chapter release beast. I can openly ask for votes now. Muix love you all. This style doesn't look like a male author at all, right? Su Huizhou looked at Zhang Miao with a mischievous glint in her eyes. Zhang Miao didn't dare to look into senior sister's eyes and didn't notice her strange expression at all. But after seeing the author's notes, it was truly difficult for him to continue insisting that the author was male. Damn it! Can't boys act cute online too? Frustrated and indignant, he wondered when his male compatriots would stand up. But when the words reached the tip of his tongue, Zhang Miao just forced a smile and lowered his head, choosing to surrender temporarily and endure the humiliation for now. Looking at it this way, the author might really be female. Tight. His fists clenched under the table. But it was fine. Men were flexible. This moment of yielding was for a better life in university. However, even though Zhang Miao met such a beautiful senior sister, and she was even a loyal reader of his novel, he still decided to stay as far away from her as possible in the future. Otherwise, in just a short time, he had already imagined being locked in a small dark room and mistaken for a girl. Who knew what other wicked ideas would come up if they chatted for longer? His poor heart couldn't handle it. It was better to avoid trouble. Kanji boss, I'm being held up by the counselor. I probably won't have time to meet you this afternoon. I'll make it up to you with bubble tea next time. Peach Jam. Peach Jam, boss, I miss you so much. Kanji boss? Kanji boss, don't you have your senior sister now? Peach Jam, sorry, I was wrong. Senior sister Su isn't someone I can handle. Kanji boss, were you bullied? Didn't you say she was considerate, gentle, and generous? Peach Jam, it's a long story. Anyway, I'll avoid her from now on. Kanji boss, is there some misunderstanding? Should I ask her? Peach Jam, don't. Don't mention anything about me to senior sister. Peach Jam, especially about the novel. Don't mention it to anyone at school. Kanji boss, oh. I understand, Peach Jam. Peach Jam, anyway, I'm counting on you, boss. Kanji boss, then you should release another chapter, right? Peach Jam, ahem. I'll write as soon as I get back. I'll try my best. After finishing the bubble tea that senior sister gave him, Zhang Miao stood up, preparing to leave. Senior sister, thank you so much for today. My dorm room is still a mess, so I'll go back first. You're going back to your room. Su Huizhou also stood up and looked at the time. Okay, I'm free anyway, so let's go back together. Zhang Miao, who wanted to get rid of senior sister, found himself entangled again, but he couldn't refuse. Which dorm area is yours? There were 2 dormitory areas in the School of Business. One was Jinda Commons, opposite the west gate of the School of Business, and the other was Xiaoya Commons, south of Jinda Commons. Your dormitory is in Xiaoya Commons, right? We're going the same way. Su Huizhou walked to Zhang Miao's side and headed towards the school gate together. Should I show you around Xiaoya Commons too? Maybe next time. I won't trouble you today, Zhang Miao politely declined, then changed the topic. Senior sister, are you also in Xiaoya Commons? Aren't the female and male dormitories separated? They are separated. Each dormitory building only houses either boys or girls, but the dormitory areas aren't separated, Su Huizhou explained. Every year, each department rotates the male and female students. For example, the girls were in Xiaoya Commons last year, so the boys are there this year. We're both pretty unlucky. Xiaoya Commons is quite far from the school. When senior sister said this, Zhang Miao thought of the dormitory building where he lived and nodded helplessly. It's really quite far. Xiaoya Commons and the School of Business were positioned diagonally opposite each other, and Building 31, Zhang Miao's dormitory, happened to be at the opposite diagonal end of Xiaoya Commons. It could be said to be the farthest building from the School of Business. Ha ha ha, I thought we were already unlucky enough this year. Su Huizhou laughed happily after knowing that Zhang Miao was in Building 31. She reached out and patted her junior brother's shoulder to comfort him. It's okay. I'm in Building 30, the dorm building opposite yours. It's not that much closer to the school. We're in the same boat. As Su Huizhou turned around after finishing speaking, Zhang Miao instinctively touched his shoulder, feeling something unusual in his heart. The two of them walked together all the way to Xiaoya Commons and stopped at the entrance of Building 30. Su Huizhou walked towards the door of the dormitory building, turned around, and waved at Zhang Miao. Okay, I won't see you off. Remember to read the novel I recommended. Zhang Miao waved goodbye and finally breathed a sigh of relief. But after he processed what she said, his face immediately stiffened, and he replied awkwardly. I'll read it. Goodbye, senior sister. Read it, my ass. I wrote that novel. Chapter 4, how about just one chapter today? Previous chapter. Next chapter. After saying goodbye to senior sister, Zhang Miao walked towards dormitory building 31 at the side. There were 2 aisles between the 2 dormitory buildings, with 2 rows of charging stations for electric scooters in between. In addition, there was neatly arranged greenery, which should have been well tended during the summer break. Those with OCD should feel very comfortable to look at the plants. Zhang Miao entered the dormitory building and went to room 412 on the 4th floor. He took out his key to open the door. Just as he was about to push the door open and enter, he heard a shout come from inside. Wait! Upon hearing the voice, Zhang Miao immediately stopped and pushed open the door to look inside. A refined young man with fair skin and round glasses was standing in the middle of the dorm room with a mop in his hand, appearing to be cleaning. Seeing Zhang Miao unlock the door, the young man promptly put down the mop, picked up a pair of slippers that had clearly been washed, and hurried over to Zhang Miao. Zhang Miao watched as the young man knelt down on one knee and offered the slippers to him in all seriousness. Then he looked up and said earnestly, I just finished mopping the floor by the door. Please change into these slippers. Thank you. Zhang Miao was a little uncomfortable facing such a gesture, but he still followed the young man's instructions and changed into slippers at the door. Then he noticed that the young man had already picked up his just removed sneakers and placed them neatly on the shoe cabinet at the side. He even adjusted the angle of the 2 pairs of shoes to align them perfectly with each other and parallel to the edge of the shoe cabinet while ensuring equal spacing both in front and behind. It was a very comfortable sight to look at. Let me help, Zhang Miao saw his roommate cleaning the dorm room, so he walked inside and reached for the mop. Wait! The bespectacled young man immediately stopped him and took the mop. With a serious look, he said, "Please let me handle the cleaning." Zhang Miao. Since when did people compete to clean? However, Zhang Miao looked around and found that there didn't seem to be anything left to clean anyway. The floor of the room had clearly been swept and mopped, reflecting a clean and glossy sheen under the sunlight, devoid of any stains. Not only the floor, but even Zhang Miao's desk and bookshelf seemed to have been thoroughly cleaned, looking as pristine as if they were new. He glanced at the other 3 beds and desks. They had also been cleaned. Compared to when he first arrived, it looked like a completely different room. He vaguely remembered that when he first entered the room, there was visible dust on the desks and floor, as well as trash bags and beverage bottles left behind by his predecessors. There was even a suspicious dark liquid on the balcony. S. Zhang Miao had initially planned to clean it after returning. But now, all those things were gone. Thanks. I appreciate you cleaning my desk too. No problem, as long as you don't mind me touching your desk. The bespectacled young man adjusted his glasses. It's fine. I should have cleaned it myself. Thanks for your help. Zhang Miao waved his hand. Then he looked at the name tag on the young man's bed and leaned closer to read the student's name. You're Wang Zi. It's Wang Xin, the bespectacled young man corrected calmly. Oh, sorry, I misread it. Zhang Miao took a closer look and found that it was indeed the case. He had missed the radical at the end. You're Zhang Miao, right? Wang Xin confirmed. Zhang Miao's suitcase was beside the wardrobe of bed number 3 by the window. Wang Xin had clearly checked the name tag on this bed beforehand. That's right. Zhang Miao smiled happily and took out his phone. Let's add each other on WeChat. Wang Xin nodded. After adding Zhang Miao on WeChat, he walked to the bathroom with the mop. I still need to clean the bathroom. Feel free to do your own things. Need any help? No thanks. Please let me clean alone, Wang Xin said earnestly and then turned around and entered the bathroom. He even locked the door. It seemed he was afraid Zhang Miao might be too enthusiastic and go in to help. Zhang Miao. Why is he competing to clean? This roommate. Very interesting. Zhang Miao's eyes brightened, and he felt inspiration gushing out like a tide. He immediately grabbed his phone, opened the Notes app, recorded Wang Xin's personal characteristics, and saved the file in his character profiles. There's also senior sister. She looks gentle and generous on the surface, but she's actually a pure girl who loves to read romance novels. Okay. After enriching his character pool, Zhang Miao felt very satisfied. He put away his phone and began unpacking his luggage. He put the clothes into the wardrobe, placed his laptop, mechanical keyboard, charger, and so on the desk, and then made his bed with the school-provided bed sheets. After finishing everything, Zhang Miao sat down at his desk. His eyes gradually becoming serious, he touched the delicate body of his keyboard with both hands. With light presses, crisp and pleasant sounds echoed. Next, it was time to write. From 4 to 5 p.m., Zhang Miao's fingers moved like lightning in complete focus, pouring all his inspiration and passion onto the keyboard. It wasn't until he heard the sound of the bathroom door opening that he immediately moved his mouse and changed the font size to the smallest size 6 font available in the word processing software. The next second, the text on the screen shrank to the size of an ant. Even though Zhang Miao was sitting at the desk, he had to squint to barely make out the words. Like this, he wouldn't have to worry about Wang Xin seeing the specific content. Then Zhang Miao looked at the word counter below. It was 1106 words. 1100 words in an hour. Not bad, not bad. I've improved again today. As expected of me. With a bit more effort later, he would finish writing the chapter in no time. Today was his first day of settling into school. With unpacking, cleaning, and touring the campus, it was normal not to have much time. So, just 1 chapter today? Zhang Miao crossed his arms, nodded with a clear conscience, and gave himself a mental pat on the back. The bathroom's clean. Wang Xin pushed his glasses up with his index finger. His forehead glistened with sweat, but his eyes under the round glasses were very satisfied. His fair face looked slightly exhausted yet content. Those who didn't know might think he had been up to something in the bathroom. Thanks for your hard work. After sitting for so long, Zhang Miao felt the urge to urinate, so he got up and walked to the bathroom while expressing gratitude to his dear roommate. With such a model roommate who cleaned so willingly, how could he not be appreciated? Zhang Miao entered the bathroom and was immediately dazzled by the gleaming reflection on the polished white tiles. He stood at the bathroom entrance for a while before turning to look at the room to confirm that he had not entered an alternate dimension. This degree of cleanliness was no longer cleaning but seemed more like renovating, right? No wonder it took over an hour. Zhang Miao sighed inwardly. He was even a little cautious while standing to relieve himself. Looking at the immaculate and pristine toilet, he even felt embarrassed to offer his holy water. It was clearly yellowish before. But it was pure white now. After solving his physiological needs in the bathroom, Zhang Miao came out after washing his hands and called out to Wang Xin. It's already so late. The other two shouldn't be coming until tomorrow. How about we go eat? Wang Xin nodded. Sure. The two of them tidied up and went out together. When they went down the stairs, Zhang Miao checked his phone and received a reminder from a beloved reader urging him to release. Kanji boss, why isn't there a release yet? Chapter 5, Do you like Zhang Miao? Previous chapter. Next chapter. Entrance of room 611 in building 30 of Xiaoya Commons. Qi Lianyu, panting from a busy day, patted her shoulder. Her petite body, which was less than 1.6 meters, finally struggled up to the 6th floor. She stood on her tiptoes at the door and strained her fingers to find the room key. Her glasses nearly slipped off. After opening the door, she struggled to put the key back on the door frame and sighed in relief. Qi Lianyu entered the room and saw Su Huizhou sitting in her chair with her phone in her hand. There was a smile on her enviable fair face, making Qi Lianyu curious about what she was so engrossed in that made her so happy. She leaned over and found her chatting on QQ. Boyfriend? Qi Lianyu asked casually while putting down her bag and sitting down on her chair. How is that possible? I love you, Yu. Su Huizhou winked at Qi Lianyu while chatting on QQ, just a fun online friend. If you had time for that, why didn't you help me this afternoon? Qi Lianyu was small and looked very cute when she was serious. The youth association and the debate team have a lot of things to do. I'm sorry. Su Huizhou dove into Qi Lianyu's arms, nuzzled against her chest, and played with a tablet. It's just the two of us tonight, so you're all mine tonight. Due to their height difference, it looked like a young mother acting cute in her daughter's arms. Go away. Qi Lianyu pushed her face away. Remember to prepare the youth association forms tonight. Okay. Su Huizhou stood up and looked at her phone again. She raised her eyebrows and immediately grabbed Qi Lianyu's hand. Let's go grab dinner first. Before Qi Lianyu could react, her small body was pulled out of the dorm room. I just climbed up here. In the dining hall of Xiaoya Commons, Zhang Miao and Wang Xin had just gotten their food and found a seat by the window. Zhang Miao took out his phone and looked at his messages. He felt something was amiss. Peach jam, just a few hundred words left. Let me eat first. Kanji boss, are you eating in the dining hall? Peach jam, yeah. Are you here too? Kanji boss, no, I'm still at the school. Peach jam, how about lunch tomorrow? We haven't met yet. Kanji boss, I'm not free for the next few days. Maybe another time. Kanji boss, I'll contact you when I'm free. It was a bit strange. It was Kanji boss who first suggested meeting up, and now it was Kanji boss who said he had no time. Although the start of the semester could indeed be busy, it shouldn't be to the extent of not even having time for a meal, right? Without thinking further about it, Zhang Miao shook his head, put away his phone, and focused on his food. Going back early and writing was more important. But halfway through the meal, a familiar voice came to Zhang Miao's ears. Junior brother, is this seat taken? Zhang Miao looked up and saw senior sister smiling while holding a tray. Beside her was a petite girl, presumably her roommate. Despite making up his mind to stay away from senior sister, Zhang Miao couldn't find a reasonable excuse to reject her. So after he nodded in agreement, the two senior sisters sat opposite him and Wang Xin. After introducing themselves, the four of them got to know each other. However, if possible, Zhang Miao still preferred not to interact too much with senior sister. He couldn't shake the feeling that his identity as Peach Jam was at risk of being exposed. Especially when senior sister smiled at him, Zhang Miao always felt his hair stand on end. Fortunately, with many people around now, senior sister didn't talk about the novel. She only greeted them warmly and told them they could look for her anytime they encountered problems. But for some reason, senior sister Chi kept giving him a scrutinizing look. Could it be that my charm is too much, so she fell for me at first sight? That could be troublesome. Senior sister, does the school have a debate team? Wang Xin suddenly asked when they were about to finish eating. Zhang Miao had already finished his food as quickly as possible and was just waiting for Wang Xin to finish eating so they could leave. Now, it looked like he'd be delayed a bit longer. Yes, we do. Su Huizhou smiled and pointed at Qi Lianyu beside her. Your senior sister Qi is a vice-captain of the debate team. Zhang Miao's gaze fell on Qi Lianyu. She had shoulder-length black hair, a calm expression, and an ordinary figure, but she was a vice-captain of the debate team and a capable debater. She had all the necessary traits, and then some. If you're interested, there will be a first-year competition after the military training. Qi Lianyu sipped her soup calmly. She glanced at Su Huizhou and then at Zhang Miao. After the competition, all the participants will have a chance to interview for the debate team. Wang Xin asked a bunch of questions about the debate team. After he finished, Zhang Miao pulled him away, said goodbye to the senior sisters, and hurried back to his dorm room to continue writing. Qi Lianyu watched Zhang Miao's retreating figure and then glanced at Su Huizhou. How do you know him? I'm their class assistant. How else would I know them? Su Huizhou replied with a look of innocence. Having known each other for over a year, Qi Lianyu was perhaps the person who understood Su Huizhou the best in the dormitory. On the surface, she was gentle and polite to everyone, but in private, she was easygoing and cheerful, treating friends and strangers with completely different attitudes. However, how could she deliberately come over to share a table with a newly acquainted junior brother just because they bumped into each other in the dining hall? There was something fishy about this. Qi Lianyu adjusted her glasses, and the dining hall's lights reflected off the lenses, obscuring her insightful gaze. Do you like Zhang Miao? Su Huizhou. Still in the dark about this situation, Zhang Miao was still worried that the quiet and expressionless senior sister liked him. He thought that staying away from senior sister Su was indeed the right decision. Back in the dorm room, they changed into slippers as soon as they entered. Zhang Miao watched Wang Xin carefully arrange their shoes on the shoe cabinet before returning to his seat with a satisfied expression. Zhang Miao was still pondering about how to write while preventing his roommate from noticing. Across from him, Wang Xin had already begun his ritual. He took out his own glass of water, went out to the water dispenser in the corridor, filled it to 70% full, and placed the glass of water solemnly on the upper left corner of the desk, adjusting its position several times. Next, he arranged his pencil case, desk lamp, calculus textbook, and notebook. The glass of water, pencil case, and desk lamp had to be aligned in a straight line and parallel to the desktop. The calculus textbook had to be placed in the center, and the notebook had to be positioned exactly within easy reach of the right hand holding a pencil. Then Zhang Miao watched him close his eyes, place his arms on the desk, and enter a state of meditation. 1 minute later, Wang Xin opened his eyes, entered study mode, and began previewing the content of calculus. Zhang Miao. Aren't you being a bit exaggerated? School hasn't officially started yet. Why are you studying? Shouldn't this time be for playing games or watching videos, cherishing the last moments of summer vacation before school starts? But seeing how focused Wang Xin was, he didn't disturb him. Seeing this scene, Zhang Miao felt relieved and opened his laptop to prepare to write and check the readers' comments. But after reading them, he regretted it. So disgusting. In reality, this kind of green tea one is really disgusting. He already has a girlfriend, but she still wants to break them up. Even if she's good looking, it won't work. This woman doesn't have any shame and keeps pretending to be innocent. Fuck, she's pouring poison directly into my mouth. This woman is too annoying. It's too disgusting to steal someone's boyfriend. It ruins my faith in humanity. Could you stop writing about such people? It makes me nauseous. Reading the comments from yesterday's latest chapters, Zhang Miao rubbed his forehead and took a few deep breaths. He didn't let his anger control his brain. He forced himself to reread the 2 chapters he released yesterday a few times and then looked at the comments again to try and summarize a lesson from them. But in the end, his defense was broken. But before preparing to fire back, Zhang Miao made a concerted effort to control his hands. After thinking about it, he opened WeChat and found Jojo loves kanji. Miao Miao is deep in thought. Senior sister, are you free? I have a question. == 1A girl who is seemingly innocent and charming but actually calculating and manipulative. Left arrow with hook. Chapter 6, How a Struggling Author Makes Progress. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Senior sister was probably busy and didn't reply. Zhang Miao scratched his head and decided to go to the bathroom to wash his face with cold water to clear his mind. After returning to his chair, he tossed his phone aside and forced himself not to think about the comments for now. He would focus instead on finishing today's chapter. My girlfriend is a content creator. His title was simple, easy to understand, straightforward, and accurate. Following the format of My Girlfriend is XXX, he first used girlfriend to highlight the fundamental focus of the novel and then used XXX to specify the girlfriend's identity to reinforce this focus. For a romance novel, a title that allowed readers to grasp the fundamental content and focus of the novel at a glance was adequate. Titles like Summer Rendezvous and Winter Love Song were not necessarily bad. But in the current market environment, where there was explosive content everywhere and readers' attention was scattered, they were not particularly advantageous. Only those authors who had built a certain reader base were qualified to use such titles. For a struggling author like Zhang Miao, if he wanted to achieve decent results with his new novel, he had to start from the title, synopsis, and beginning of the novel, ensuring good control in every aspect. In this regard, Zhang Miao felt that he had done reasonably well. The title of the novel had already been discussed. The synopsis was essentially a simplified version of the first 2 chapters of the novel. The first chapter of this novel started with the male lead being invited out by his childhood friend to watch a movie, only to be tricked into sitting in a couple's seat and then being unexpectedly confessed to by the female lead halfway through. Right from the beginning, it jumped to the climax scenes typical of other romance novels, which naturally attracted readers to continue reading. However, even though it met the standards for the 3 major elements of title, synopsis, and opening, the novel had only just gotten off to a good start. If he wanted to achieve a good result, the first 100,000 words of the new novel represented a crucial phase for the novel's content, and there was no room for carelessness. If the storyline hit a plot poison point, encountered logical flaws, or featured unlikable characters, it could easily lead to a drop in readers. This was because when readers started a new novel, they had yet to develop a habitual interest in its characters and plot, so the cost of abandoning the novel wasn't significant. Only when readers had paid or read hundreds of thousands of words, investing money or time, would they begin to resonate emotionally with the characters and storyline. At this point, the likelihood of them abandoning the novel decreased. Because the cost of abandoning the novel was already relatively high at that time, readers tended to have greater tolerance for minor flaws and inconsistencies in the story. Only when they encountered unavoidable major issues would they decisively abandon the novel and stop reading it. Otherwise, driven by their reading habits, even if the quality of the content declined later on, they would likely continue reading. For Zhang Miao and his new novel, the current period was the golden phase of its release, where mistakes were least tolerated and utmost care had to be taken. At this time, the most straightforward and convenient method was to delete the negative reviews and comments to prevent them from misleading readers who didn't notice or think there were any issues. But Zhang Miao disliked taking such actions. He reserved his authority to delete posts and issue bans only for those comments that ignored the plot logic, engaged in personal attacks, or devolved into discussions involving elders or body parts. As for discussions solely about the plot and characters without attacking the posters themselves, he saw no reason to intervene. The problem now was that he felt that the content he wrote was not a big problem. But there were quite a few readers expressing their disgust. At times like this, it was a test of the author's skills. Whether it was in writing novels or being human. At 8 p.m., Zhang Miao emerged from his writing state. Apart from finishing the few hundred words remaining in the afternoon chapter, he wrote an additional chapter, totaling 2 chapters, and released them in one go. There was no such thing as saving manuscripts for him. Keeping manuscripts only made people lazy. He always published as soon as he finished writing. Otherwise, if he kept chapters in his hands, he would constantly think about improving them, ultimately wasting time without much improvement in results. After releasing today's new chapters, he looked at the comments from yesterday's chapter. Although some readers found no issues with the developments, many readers still expressed dislike for the female supporting character. His head hurt. However, when he opened WeChat, he found that senior sister had already replied to him. Jojo loves kanji, what's the matter? He looked at the time. It was half an hour ago. He wasn't sure if she was still available. With this thought in mind, Zhang Miao deliberated over his words before tapping his fingers on the screen. Miao Miao is deep in thought. I checked out the novel you recommended tonight and read yesterday's latest chapter. I saw that many people hate the female supporting character. What do you think, senior sister? He expected to wait a while, but surprisingly, senior sister replied instantly. Jojo loves Kanji, I hate that character too. Seeing senior sister's response, Zhang Miao immediately felt a pang of heartache. Even senior sister, who likes my novel, finds the supporting character hateful. Miao Miao is deep in thought. I didn't think it was that big of a deal. Senior sister, could you tell me why? Jojo loves Kanji, hey? Is there a need to ask about this? Jojo loves Kanji. This supporting character secretly took her brother's phone and sent a message to the male lead to deceive him into going to her house. It's obvious she's trying to get together with him. Jojo loves Kanji, moreover, she did this knowing that the male lead already has a girlfriend. Jojo loves Kanji. Normally, sensible girls will avoid meeting alone with a guy who has a girlfriend, let alone invite him to her place. Miao Miao is deep in thought, but this character's persona is a spoiled rich second generation. Aren't her actions logically consistent with that? Jojo loves Kanji, but we don't care about that. We just find her annoying and hateful, plain and simple. Jojo loves Kanji, but I don't know what Peach Jam is thinking. Maybe she really needs such a character to drive the plot forward? Zhang Miao looked at senior sister's reply, pursed his lips, and fell into deep thought. Miao Miao is deep in thought. Perhaps the author set up this unlikable character and intends to gradually develop her perspective in subsequent plot lines to form a persona reversal. Jojo loves Kanji, of course that's good, but readers only see what's in front of them. This slacker updates too slowly, so who has the patience to think about future developments? What senior sister said instantly awakened Zhang Miao, pulling him out of the deadlock he had been stuck in. A feeling of enlightenment dawned on him. So, that's where the problem is. Zhang Miao chewed on senior sister's words and gradually realized his shortcomings. In terms of plot outline and character development, the female supporting character went from being rebellious and quirky in the beginning to learning empathy and gradually becoming gentle and understanding. Overall, it was indeed a relatively well-crafted character. But when once placed in the context of long release periods and extensive word counts typical of web novels, the flaws in the supporting character's personality in the early stages would be infinitely magnified, and the beauty that could only be displayed in the later stages wouldn't have a chance to shine. In the author's mind, of course this supporting character was quite outstanding. But for readers who had only read 20-odd chapters, it was a completely different experience. Miao Miao is deep in thought, so that's how it is. Sorry to disturb you, senior sister. Jojo loves Kanji, it's okay. I quite enjoy discussing plot details like this. Jojo loves Kanji, but you seem to be quite knowledgeable. It feels like you are analyzing this from the author's perspective. Zhang Miao cleared his throat nervously at senior sister's doubts, and his heart palpitated as he quickly explained. Miao Miao is deep in thought. No, not at all. I just think it's not easy for authors to write novels and that it doesn't feel good to be criticized like this. Jojo loves Kanji, that's right. If Peach Jam knew she had a new reader like you, I'm sure she'd be thrilled. Zhang Miao. Thrilled, my ass. But still, thank you, senior sister. At least for the upcoming plot, he really needed to make some adjustments. Zhang Miao took a deep breath, opened the comments again, and liked the negative comments of the readers. Then he opened the word processing software again and planned to write more while inspiration was still fresh. Not long after, Zhang Miao received a new message on QQ. Kanji boss, don't worry about those negative comments. Just write according to your thoughts. Kanji boss, I just finished reading today's 2 chapters. No complaints. I'm full of warm and fuzzy feelings. Kanji boss, oh, right, do you remember your promise about the main female lead's illustration? The rough draft is done. I'll send it to you to take a look. Kanji boss, picture. Kanji boss, keep it up. Chapter 7, Don't Dirty. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Under the table, Zhang Chu stretched out her slender legs and wrapped them around one of Chen Wen's legs. Even when sitting opposite each other, she still wanted to stick to Chen Wen. Oh. In the middle of the night, Su Huizhou was curled up in bed, holding her phone. The faint light illuminated her delicate cheeks. Because Peach Jam released too little, she could only start over from the beginning and read all the way through until the newly released chapter 29. Whenever she came across a sweet and thrilling scene like this, a silly, gratified smile would appear on her face. When emotions ran deep, she would even subconsciously clench her thighs, her mind drifting into fantasies about scenes from the novel. But for some reason, as she fantasized, Qi Lianyu's doubting words in the evening inexplicably surfaced in her mind. Do you like Zhang Miao? Once these words surfaced in her mind, the image of the male and female leads in Su Hui's whose fantasy suddenly changed into junior brother Zhang Miao and herself. Her thighs clenched even tighter. Su Hui's whose face turned bright red as she tossed and turned on the narrow dormitory bed, trying to alleviate her embarrassment. The bed even started to creak softly. No, no. I can't let my imagination run wild anymore. But to be honest, Peach Jam is indeed quite handsome. Su Huizhou thought of her meeting with Zhang Miao today and sighed. Peach Jam turned out to be a boy. She initially thought it was a cute little junior sister, but in reality, he turned out to be a tall, handsome, and sunny boy. Who could have guessed? But dating should be out of the question, right? After all, I'm his senior sister. I can't be an old cow eating young grass. Besides, apart from schoolwork, I usually have to take on all sorts of illustration commissions, so how can I have the time for romance? Long live being single. If I want to experience the joy of love, can't I just read Peach Jam's romance novels? Thinking like this, Su Huizhou praised herself for her wit. What are you doing? Qi Lianyu, on the opposite bed, sighed. If you really can't hold it in, go to the bathroom to solve it. Don't dirty the bed. Su Huizhou. What are you thinking about? I'm just turning over. Because school hadn't started for second years yet, only the two of them were in the dorm room tonight. It was quiet in the middle of the night, so the creaking sounds of Su Hui's bed when she turned over were too obvious. A with ring above B. You're turning over 10 times a minute. Qi Lianyu ruthlessly exposed her excuse. Hurry up and solve it. I want to sleep. Su Huizhou. There's no explaining this. It's all Peach Jam's fault. Peach Jam, thank you. I'm fine now. Su Huizhou looked at the time. It was almost 1 in the morning. Kanji boss, still awake? Peach Jam, I've been writing non-stop until now and just released 2 more chapters. Kanji boss. Su Huizhou was surprised and quickly opened the Zidian website. She indeed found 2 new chapters of My Girlfriend is a Content Creator. Kanji boss, did the sun rise from the west? You really released extra? Peach Jam, extra? That's impossible. Peach Jam, it's already August 31st. These are today's releases. Kanji boss. Kanji boss, are you not releasing during the day? Peach Jam, tomorrow is the last day of school registration. My 2 other roommates are coming. There's also a class meeting in the evening. I won't have time to write. No way I believe you. Su Huizhou puffed up her cheeks and cursed in his mind. She really wanted to catch him tomorrow and lock him in a small dark room to write. Kanji boss, be careful or I'll expose you at school. Peach Jam, we haven't even met yet, so you won't be able to recognize me anyway. Kanji boss, what about telling your dear senior sister then? K.O. Peach Jam. Peach Jam, sorry, I was wrong. Kanji boss, you may dispense with ceremony. Rise. Kanji boss, did you look at the rough draft I sent? If there's anything you want to change, let me know quickly. I'm too lazy to make changes after I finish drawing. Peach Jam, I've seen it. It's awesome. Peach Jam, boss, I trust your skills, but could you make them a bit bigger? Pervert. Lecher. Lying on her side in bed, Su Huizhou spit out in disgust. In the past, she had mistakenly thought that Peach Jam was a cute girl. When they talked about risque topics, she was quite enthusiastic and felt that she had met a kindred spirit. But it turned out that she was actually her junior brother at school. I really need to criticize him. Kanji boss, all you do is look at lewd pictures all day. Kanji boss, with the current review mechanism, this is already the limit. Kanji boss, at most, I'll send you one a bit exciting in private. Damn it, I'm still too soft-hearted. Su Huizhou pouted. Peach Jam, okay. Peach Jam, boss, you're the best. So generous. Tisk Su Huizhou curled her lips and harumphed softly. Then she pointed her finger at the screen and tapped on Peach Jam's anime girl avatar, seemingly lecturing him. Kanji boss, okay, I'm going to sleep. Good night. Peach Jam, good night. Although Suhwaijo said good night, she didn't actually go to sleep. She opened the Zidian website and read the 2 new chapters Peach Jam posted. Taking advantage of the dead of night, she secured a comment on the first page. Because it was a new book with only tens of thousands of words, it was currently only on around 1,500 reading lists, and the daily recommendations were just over 100, mostly from readers of the previous book coming to support. So the atmosphere in the comments for this chapter was not bad. Even the readers who had complained about the female supporting character didn't really abandon the book. Suhwaijo even saw them enviously eating dog food one here in the new chapters. Seeing this, Suhwaijo smiled happily. Why does it feel like a piece is missing? Zhang Qiu chewed twice, puzzled. Chen Wen, I just took a bite. Oh, Zhang Qiu smiled. No wonder it's so delicious. Ah. I'm dying. I'm dying. Suhwaijo held her phone with a grin on her face. She clutched her blanket between her thighs and planned to turn over, but she remembered Qi Lianyu's warning earlier and immediately controlled her restless movements. If the bed made any more strange noises, Qi Lianyu would start imagining blindly again. However, the thought of how this scene was actually thought up by that handsome and sunny junior brother made Suhwaijo felt an inexplicable urge to laugh. Especially when she remembered her pranks on him today, she couldn't help giggling. What's wrong with you? Why did you have such a big reaction? Qi Lianyu sighed again in the silent dorm room. Quickly find a boyfriend to solve it. Otherwise, it's not good for your health. Suhwaijo. I'm not doing anything. I can't be bothered to listen to your excuse. Qi Lianyu turned over in her bed, reached for her phone, and looked at the time. Hurry up. It's already so late. There are still a lot of things to do tomorrow. As a class assistant, you have to hold a class meeting for new students, right? I know. Suhwaijo blushed, feeling ashamed and resentful, but she couldn't argue with Qi Lianyu. In the end, she could only pin the blame on Peach Jam. It's all your fault. Under her blanket, Suhwaijo poked Peach Jam's profile avatar while murmuring under her breath, cursing who knew what. One witnessing romantic interactions between characters, particularly when these interactions are perceived as sweet, affectionate, or romantic left arrow with hook. Chapter 8, Looking at Senior Sister from Afar. Previous chapter. Next chapter. August 31st, Sunday. After saying goodnight to Kanji boss yesterday, Zhang Miao didn't sleep. He worked diligently collecting material until 2 or 3 in the morning before falling asleep in a daze. When he woke up, it was already 10:30 in the morning. Zhang Miao looked around the dorm room and found that Wang Xin wasn't here, but the curtains were tightly drawn, blocking out any light. It seemed like this roommate was quite considerate. When he got out of bed and saw a small carton of soy milk and 2 buns on his desk, he was stunned. There was also a note beside it, stuck squarely and precisely in the center of the desk's edge, the upper edge aligned perfectly with the desk without any crookedness. The note read, I bought breakfast on the way. I'm going to wander around the school and have lunch with some high school classmates, so I won't go back to the dorm. Is he actually a warm-hearted guy? He's practically the perfect roommate. Zhang Miao threw the note into the trash can, pulled open the curtains, and opened the door to let in some air. Then he sat down and ate the buns while checking his phone. On WeChat, Wang Xin had sent a similar message, so Zhang Miao replied. Miao Miao is deep in thought, breakfast is great. Thank you. Wash hands often, you're welcome. After seeing no other messages, Zhang Miao exited the chat interface and scrolled through moments on WeChat. Most of the posts were photos of people's new schools. Some were happy, some complained, some griped about heavy luggage, some disliked the dirty dorms. Of course, there were also plenty of posts from couples. However, with school starting soon, most of these high school couples had to go their separate ways and enter long-distance relationships. Their moments were full of sentimental goodbyes and sweet couple photos. If you weren't in a relationship, you wouldn't have so many issues. Zhang Miao's fingers swiped lightly across the screen, not feeling envious at all. After scrolling through moments, he opened the Writer Assistant app to look at the new comments from last night. Skipping over the short section hating on the female supporting character, the situation had returned to the usual about the male and female leads showing off their affection. Seeing these readers scream and practically drool with envy, revealing their single status, Zhang Miao smiled smugly. At this moment, the daily status report came out. Number of tips, 3. Monthly votes, 0. Recommendations, 128. Reading lists, 107. For a new novel by a struggling author without a large fanbase, having over 100 readers adding it to their reading lists in a day was a good result. If he could maintain this momentum, the future looked promising. Moreover, Zhang Miao's eyes flickered as his finger hovered over the author consultation section. Congratulations! We are pleased to inform you that your work, My Girlfriend is a Content Creator, will be featured in Zidian's light novel category's new arrivals section at 1400 hours on August 31st. Please ensure that non-completed works continue to be updated. In case of emergencies, please contact your editor promptly. Thank you for your cooperation. A section recommendation. It was also known as a trial push. It was the first recommendation for a new book on the website. Usually, it was a spot on the desktop version of the website, which had lower traffic, making it suitable to test the waters and make preliminary estimations on the potential of a new book. And August 31st happened to be today. In the same category, there would be 8 or 9, or even more than a dozen, new books competing for attention in the recommendations spotlight. A week later, the 3 to 5 books with the best performance would qualify for promotion and obtain resources for the next round of recommendations, allowing the new books to achieve even better results. It could be said that every new book that made it through the gauntlet stood on the bones of countless failed works. Zhang Miao had once been among them. His previous book had a rough start. He had only secured a contract at 150,000 words, and the trial recommendation came at 200,000 words, right before it went live, started subscription chapters. It had been on 2,400 reading lists and had 160 initial subscribers. And now, with his new book at just around 40,000 words, it was already on 1,500 reading lists. It was clear that his skill level had improved dramatically. But even so, he couldn't be careless. Among the books released in the same period, some had equally good results. For example, Tokyo's One Punch blended a Japanese supernatural setting with the manga One Punch Man, and its style imitated the popular book I Worship Buddha in Tokyo, which had more than 10,000 subscribers. The reading list growth was impressive. At 50,000 words, it was already on 1,800 reading lists. Another example of this was Leading the Future Hokage to Build High-Speed Railways, with its ambitious concept of extending the Naruto universe far into the future, where the main character led the Hidden Leaf Village, Konoha, in building major infrastructure projects. If it could maintain its promising start, it could easily become a bestseller. With just 60,000 words, it was already on 2,400 reading lists. Fortunately, apart from these, most other new books were relatively underperforming. They were struggling to stay above 1,000 reading lists at even over 100,000 words. But they were still considered lucky. At least they had signed a contract and received trial recommendations. Below them were countless more failed works that were perhaps only on single or double-digit reading lists. Many of these authors even begged people to add their books to reading lists in various book reviews and comment sections. It could be said to be as miserable as it got. Therefore, looking at the mountain of corpses and the sea of blood beneath his feet, Zhang Miao didn't dare to let his guard down. Perhaps after entering the trial recommendations, a few dark horses would emerge from the recommendation spotlight and squeeze him out of the promotion spots. These were all unknown risks. While Zhang Miao was thinking about these matters, a WeChat message popped up. Jojo loves kanji, junior brother, what are you doing? A girl you had just met sent you a message out of the blue asking what you were doing. 9 out of 10 times, it meant she was interested in you. However, Zhang Miao was self-aware enough to know that such good fortune was unlikely to happen to him. Especially when the girl was not only attractive but outstanding and capable like senior sister. Miao Miao is deep in thought, having breakfast. Jojo loves kanji, breakfast at 10:30? You're really something. Miao Miao is deep in thought, what about you? Jojo loves kanji, I'm having breakfast too. Oof. She's so cute. What should I do? Could she really be interested in me? I am a loyal practitioner of the single life, so I won't easily be led astray by such charms. Jojo loves kanji, is your room on the 4th floor? Miao Miao is deep in thought, yet. Jojo loves kanji, on the north side? Meow Meow is deep in thought, yes. Jojo loves kanji, I think I see you then. Meow Meow is deep in thought, hey? Zhang Miao subconsciously stood up, still holding a bun in his hand. As he chewed on it, he looked around, but he couldn't find the hidden senior sister. My invisible senior sister is stalking me? What kind of bizarre plot twist was this? No, wait. Zhang Miao shook his head and suddenly remembered that senior sister lived in the dormitory building opposite. With this thought in mind, he walked to the balcony and looked at the dormitory building opposite. Jojo loves kanji, looks like it's really you. Do you see me? I'm on the 6th floor. Upon receiving senior sister's hint, Zhang Miao looked up at the 6th floor opposite and quickly spotted a small hand waving at him. Senior sister was sitting at a folding table on the balcony, having breakfast, and greeting him with a smile. What is this? Looking at each other across buildings, clandestine rendezvous through the void? Chapter 9, His Highness the Prince is back. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Across the distance of over 20 meters between the two buildings, Zhang Miao looked over with rapt attention. Through the gaps in the railing of senior sister's balcony, he could vaguely see her exquisite face. And the dark-rimmed glasses on her straight nose. Ah, no wonder. He had been wondering how senior sister, who was severely nearsighted, could see him from such a distance. It turned out she was wearing glasses. Unfortunately, it was too far away, and the railing was obstructing the view, so he couldn't see clearly. Otherwise, he really wanted to see what senior sister looked like with glasses on. It would have been perfect if she was wearing a school uniform. Jojo loves kanji, what are you eating for breakfast? Meow Meow is deep in thought, 2 buns. What about you? Jojo loves kanji, a bowl of kanji with ham sausage. One sitting, one standing, they chatted on WeChat on their balconies. While chatting, they slowly finished their breakfast. They talked about trivial matters, but Zhang Miao didn't feel impatient, and time passed unknowingly. Jojo loves kanji, we're collecting textbooks and military training uniforms in the afternoon. When the time comes, another class assistant and I will come find you guys. I'll have to trouble you to help. Meow Meow is deep in thought, it's us troubling you, senior sister. Jojo loves kanji, okay, let's stop chatting, my roommate is rushing me. See you in the afternoon. Meow Meow is deep in thought, okay, see you in the afternoon. Senior sister on the opposite balcony stood up, stretched out half of her body over the railing, pressed down her wind-blown hair with one hand, and waved at him with a smile. The near-noon sunlight shone down, casting senior sister in a golden halo. The smile on her face was like a pure and beautiful arrow that pierced straight into people's hearts. Zhang Miao blinked, and the scene in his eyes seemed to freeze in his mind. By the time he reacted and waved, senior sister had already entered the room. At noon, Zhang Miao went to the dining hall to eat alone. This time, he didn't encounter senior sister. After eating, he walked back to his dorm room, unsure if he was disappointed or relieved. Returning to his room, Zhang Miao opened his word processor and placed his hands on the keyboard. He took a deep breath and suddenly remembered that he had already released chapters in the early morning. So tired. Why am I so sleepy? Looks like I can't focus on writing. With this thought in mind, he got up from his chair, climbed up the ladder to his loft bed, and buried his head into his pillow, intending to take a nap. In the afternoon, he was awakened from his nap by the sound of the room door opening. He sat up and looked down. Hello, classmate. A slightly charming middle-aged woman walked in, carrying many bags. Seeing Zhang Miao in bed, she immediately smiled apologetically. Sorry to disturb your sleep. No worries. I was just about to get up, Zhang Miao said, and noticed 2 more people behind the woman. One was a well-dressed middle-aged man with slicked back hair and a potbelly. The other was an expressionless boy between burly and chubby with baby fat and freckles on his face. It seemed the third roommate had arrived. It would be inappropriate for him to continue sitting in bed. Zhang Miao got out of bed and asked politely, Auntie, do you need help? No need. You can just sit down. It's fine, the woman replied with a smile and began to help her son make his bed and arrange his wardrobe. The middle-aged man who came in later occasionally helped, while the boy stood aside and looked at Zhang Miao before turning his head away, neither helping nor speaking. Say hello. The middle-aged man patted his son's shoulder and urged, You'll be classmates and roommates from now on. Don't be silent like you are at home. Annoyed by his father's urging, the boy looked at Zhang Miao and forced out a greeting. Hello. Hello. Zhang Miao had nothing to do and was pretending to fiddle with his laptop. When he heard the voice, he turned and smiled. I'm Zhang Miao. Introduce yourself properly. Don't just stand there, the middle-aged man urged again. Sun Liang. Haha, we'll have to trouble you to take care of him. The middle-aged man glared at his disappointing son and then laughed heartily. Our Liang doesn't like to talk. He's actually a good kid at heart. Okay, you're too polite, uncle, Zhang Miao replied with a polite smile. We'll be roommates from now on, so we should take care of each other. He made small talk with the man, discussing topics like where their hometown was, their college entrance examination results, whether they had a girlfriend, and so on. Zhang Miao observed his new roommate, Sun Liang, and saw that he would only say a word or two when his father asked him. It seemed he was socially awkward. However, this wasn't too bad. At least it meant that he could write without disturbance. With Sun Liang's social difficulties, he likely wouldn't pay attention to what Zhang Miao usually did on his laptop. The woman tidied up very quickly. In addition, Wang Xian had already cleaned the bed, wardrobe, and so on yesterday, so it didn't take much work to get everything in order. She finished in about 10 minutes. The two parents seemed to be in a hurry. After helping their son settle in and giving him a few reminders, they said goodbye to Zhang Miao and left in a hurry. We still need to send your sister to school, so we'll leave first. Take care of yourself. I know, Sun Liang replied impatiently and sent them out before closing the dorm room door behind him. Now, there were only the two of them left in the room. Zhang Miao was about to greet him and get to know him. But to his surprise, Sun Liang, whose face was full of baby fat and freckles, smiled, approached Zhang Miao, and grabbed his hand with both hands enthusiastically. Hello, brother Zhang, hello. Let's get to know each other again. I am Sun Liang. Zhang Miao opened his mouth and looked at his enthusiastic roommate, momentarily at a loss for how to respond. After a few seconds, he replied with a wry smile, Hello, I am Zhang Miao. After Sun Liang released his hand, Zhang Miao shook his wrist. Gee, he's really strong. But brother, the difference before and after is too great. In front of his parents, he was rebellious and introverted. But once they were gone, he let loose and revealed his true nature. Brother Zhang, do you want some chicken? Sun Liang sat on a chair casually with one foot resting on it. He rummaged through his wardrobe, pulled out a big bag of snacks, and tossed a few packets over. I've got wings and drumsticks. No need to be polite. We're family from now on. Thanks. Zhang Miao caught the snacks without declining, but he wasn't that hungry after lunch, so he symbolically opened a packet of chicken wings and chatted while Sun Liang ate. Brother Zhang, aren't the other two here yet? I thought I was late enough. Your neighbor is already here, but he went to have lunch with his high school classmates and hasn't returned yet. The other one hasn't arrived. Oh. Sun Liang stood up again and strolled around the dorm room while nibbling on chicken claws, feeling as relaxed as he were at home. He even went to Wang Xian's bed to look at the name tag. Wang Zi1? Ha 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 ha. This name is something else. Ahem. Take a closer look. What's wrong? Isn't it Zi? It's Xin. You missed the radical at the end. What went around came around. Zhang Miao didn't expect to explain this name to someone one day. I see. Ha ha ha. Sun Liang laughed awkwardly. He even raised his chicken claw to toast with Zhang Miao. My Chinese proficiency has always been terrible. I can get 8 out of 10 questions wrong in multiple choice tests. Zhang Miao laughed along. I made the same mistake. It's mainly because Wang Zi just rolls off the tongue too smoothly. While chatting, the two quickly became acquainted, and a chicken claw was finished off. At around 1:30, the dorm room door clicked as it unlocked. Sun Liang, swiveling in his chair, stood up and waved enthusiastically at the calm-looking Wang Xian walking in. Hey! His Highness the Prince has returned. Wang Xian. == 1 Wang Zi, means prince in Chinese. Left arrow with hook. Chapter 10, won't add pretty girls on WeChat. Previous chapter. Next chapter. It was almost 2 in the afternoon. Zhang Miao was sitting at his desk, staring at the laptop screen displaying Zidian's light novel category's new arrivals section. Although he knew that the recommendation lists were always timely, he still couldn't control his urge to refresh the page every 10 seconds. This nervousness was akin to waiting for lottery numbers when the previous numbers all matched and only the last one was unknown, and his heart was pounding as he stared at the number draw. It was like dreaming of something wonderful and charming that was gradually unraveling layer by layer until reaching the final pieces of clothes and fearing suddenly waking up and finding it was all a dream. It was really a test of one's mentality. Just before 2 in the afternoon, there was a knock on the dorm room door. Wang Xin opened the door and saw a boy wearing a red sports t-shirt and a grey sports headband, looking full of energy. The boy smiled and greeted them. "Hello, I am your class assistant. We're going to move books in the afternoon. Everyone, please come out and gather." Zhang Miao, who had been eagerly refreshing the page, sighed, tidied up his desk, and followed Wang Xin out of the room. In the corridor, Sun Liang, who had gone to visit other dorm rooms in the same class, walked out with a group of boys with their arms around each other's shoulders. It seemed that they had already become familiar with each other. Watching Sun Liang laughing and chatting with others, Zhang Miao wondered what his parents would think if they saw their son like this. Would they feel that the world was falling apart? Accounting Class 2 currently had a total of 62 students, of which 16 were boys, exactly divided into 4 dorm rooms. However, one person in Zhang Miao's room hadn't arrived yet, so there were only 15 people. After gathering, everyone followed the class assistant downstairs. It was already 2 p.m. Zhang Miao followed the group and took out his phone, wanting to see the desktop version of the Zidian website. But Kanji Boss was clearly faster than him. "Kanji Boss, screenshot. Kanji Boss, congratulations. Trial recommendation, get." Zhang Miao clicked on the screenshot, which showed "My girlfriend is a content creator" featured in the new arrivals section. In an instant, he felt as though his heart had been struck, and his blood seemed to be flowing backward. The slight trembling of his hands, his fluctuating emotions, it was an experience that only those who had gone through it could truly understand. Being recommended meant exposure, which in turn would bring in new readers. "Peach Jam, thanks. I got dragged to move books, so I didn't have time to check. Kanji Boss, hehe, I've been keeping an eye on it. Kanji Boss, you do your thing. I've gotta go be a laborer too. Peach Jam, okay." Zhang Miao took a deep breath, gradually calming down. Getting featured on the trial recommendation list was merely the first step. He could only leave the task of directing traffic to the website. His main task was to write well to keep the new readers. Otherwise, even the best recommendation spot would be useless. He looked at the screenshot again. In addition to his book, the previously mentioned Tokyo's One Punch and Leading the Future Hokage to Build High-Speed Railways were also included, making his eyes flicker. A scholar had said he didn't think comparing works and concluding their quality was necessary. But in the commercial market, facing all readers, competing on the same stage was already the fairest method. Under such a mechanism, even renowned authors could fall from grace if their works failed to meet the expectations of the majority of readers. Hopefully, his book would be liked by more people. Zhang Miao shook his head and stopped dwelling on this. He followed the group out of Xiaoya Commons and rushed to the west gate of the school. "Do any of you play basketball?" The senior class assistant was walking in front, leading the way with a smile. "I'll take you to play when we have time. I'm familiar with the courts here." Looking at this cheerful and enthusiastic senior, Zhang Miao felt a strange sensation in his heart when he thought about how this senior worked as a class assistant with senior sister. He couldn't tell what he was feeling. She was his beloved novel fan after all. "Jojo loves kanji, have you guys left? Did Zhang Panfan find you?" Just as Zhang Miao was thinking about senior sister, he received a WeChat message. "Miao Miao is deep in thought, we're already on our way, almost at the west gate. Jojo loves kanji, then tell him for me. I've already brought the girls downstairs, and we'll be at the west gate soon. Miao Miao is deep in thought, aren't you going to tell him directly? Jojo loves kanji, that guy won't add pretty girls on WeChat." Although it sounds a bit self-praising, it's true. Zhang Miao. What the heck is not adding pretty girls on WeChat? Miao Miao is deep in thought, does he have a girlfriend? Henpecked? Jojo loves kanji, ha 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 ha. I can only say it's close but still far off. Jojo loves kanji, we'll chat about this later when we have time. Please go tell him. Miao Miao is deep in thought, okay. After agreeing to senior sister, Zhang Miao put away his phone and was about to approach when he suddenly hesitated. Wait. How should I say it? After thinking it over, he decided to just say it directly. In any case, he and senior sister were innocent and had nothing to fear. Since she didn't think much about it, there was no need for him to feel guilty about anything. Senior sister Su said she's already brought the girls downstairs and will arrive at the west gate soon. Zhang Panfan, who was chatting happily with the boys in front, was stunned for a moment before reacting. Oh, Sister Zhou, right. Zhang Miao was also stunned for a moment before reacting. Yes, senior sister Su Huaizhou. Is senior sister so prestigious? This senior should be a third-year student. He actually treats a second year as equals. Okay, got it. Zhang Panfan nodded with a smile but immediately felt that something was off. The next second, he leaned close to Zhang Miao, slung an arm around his shoulder, and asked suspiciously, why do you have Sister Zhou's contact info? I bumped into her yesterday when I came to school. After finding out she's a class assistant, I added her on WeChat, Zhang Miao said honestly. The boys nearby discreetly pricked their ears to listen, but Sun Liang didn't hold back. He rushed over and exclaimed, Brother Zhang, you're not being honest. You hooked up with a senior sister without even saying anything. Suddenly, all eyes were on Zhang Miao, leaving him feeling somewhat helpless. Try saying that to her and see if she takes offense. After the commotion, the boys arrived at the west gate. Before long, a group of girls walked over from Jinda Commons. Compared to the boys, the girls' group was much larger. There were a total of 46 girls in class 2, nearly 3 times the number of boys. But senior sister was still the most outstanding among them. Su Huaizhou led the group of girls, dressed in a black half-sleeved t-shirt tucked into cropped pants, with her hair tied into a high ponytail. She exuded a refreshing and cool vibe. As Zhang Miao watched senior sister approach, his eyes involuntarily fell on the beauty mark at the corner of her eye, feeling an urge to reach out and touch it. Then he remembered her dark-rimmed glasses from this morning and imagined how they would look on her exquisite face. He felt that the scene would be marvelous. Hello, everyone. I'm your other class assistant, Su Huaizhou. Senior sister smiled gently and greeted the boys. She stole a glance at Zhang Miao and gave him a smile before looking at Zhang Panfan. Aren't you going to greet the girls? Humph. Earlier, Zhang Panfan had been laughing and joking with the boys. But now, he suddenly straightened his back, kept his arms pressed against his sides, and looked straight ahead like he was standing at attention. He didn't dare to let his gaze linger on the girls at all. Hello. I am Zhang Panfan. And nice to meet you all. Zhang Miao. So, it's not that he's henpecked but that he's afraid of girls?